What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. I hope you guys are doing well. I have yet another weekly market profile forecast for you for both the ES and NQ futures markets. So we are going to start off on the NQ session profile. We'll move into the weekly profile, and we'll likely check out the weekly candlestick charts as well, because that's where we have some major downside levels from 2 years ago that we will be looking at if we break last week's lows. As it stands right now, however, we are going to be looking at, or I'm going to be focused on, these two major levels from a session profile perspective on NQ, 10,745 and 10,850. 10,850 is Friday's point of control. That is where we did the most business on Friday. And 10,745 is going to be the value area low from Friday. If we break and do not get acceptance into Friday's value upon open tomorrow morning in the regular trading hours session, I will certainly be looking for some moves lower into some lower levels from last week. You can see we have Thursday's initial balance high, 10,694, and then we've got last week's lows down here around 10,480-ish. So to be precise, Thursday's low, 10,484, and then we have the overnight low from Wednesday into Thursday at 10,497 even. So on the upside, I'm going to be looking for a move to, first and foremost, the point of control from Friday, 10,850. And if we can get acceptance above that, look for a move to Friday's value area high at 10,933 even. Now, if we can get acceptance above Friday's value area high, we have quite a bit of single prints on the profile from Friday. So you can see, even if I zoom out and turn the profile into blocks, you can see that we have single prints basically starting from about 10,975-ish all the way up to 11,030-ish, 1128 to be precise. And then we have another group of single prints from about 11,060 all the way up to Friday's high at 11,207. So to be exceptionally clear here, a single print area on the profile is essentially just an area where price did not spend a lot of time. We did not do a lot of business in that area. You can see that we actually opened up on Friday up here at 11,180-ish. And we had an open test drive to the downside. So when that happens, that is one of our highest directional conviction profile open types when it comes to market profile analysis or market profile strategy. And I won't get too much into that, but I want to draw attention to these areas, basically 11,056 up to 11,207. And then we have right here, basically, call it 10,975 up to 11,030. So these areas are very likely to get revisited. When you see single prints on a market profile, whether that is on a session profile or a weekly profile, look for price to gravitate back towards that area and do more business there. It is important that you keep that in mind, but it's also important to keep in mind that we need to take this one step at a time, right? We are currently trading at around 10,780. So we've got some work to do to work above Friday's POC back towards the value area high. But if we do get acceptance above that 10,933 level, definitely look for a move to that 10,976. Now, when I say definitely, that doesn't mean it's going to happen for sure, but that is going to be my next area of interest. So if I was going to treat it as, major levels, I would be looking for a move from 10,930-ish. If we get acceptance above that, probably up to 10,975. We could even draw another little zone between where these single prints start and the overnight low from Thursday into Friday at 10,988. So look for price to move to that area if we get accepted above 933. And then furthermore, I would be looking at this 11,030 level. And then you can see that these single prints actually start right around 11,060, which happens to be right near Thursday's point of control. So that's going to be a major area of interest as well. And if we can hold above that, then I'll basically be looking at the overnight POC from Thursday into Friday, right around 11,150, and then a move back to tap Friday's high at 11,207. So it's going to take some work, and it's going to take some patience, obviously, to get up there. But look for these levels to kind of get knocked over like dominoes if we do start to get some buying pressure and get some upside movement. Now, as far as the downside goes, I will be looking at the value area low from Friday, and we could even once again draw a zone between Friday's low and the value area low. And you can see that we have our current overnight low at 10,738 as well. So let me just enlarge this for you so you guys can see a little bit better. So this is going to be a very important area to hold. If we break 726 to the downside, I will be looking for moves to Thursday's initial balance high at 10,694. If we break that level on a session profile perspective, I will be looking for a move back down to this zone, basically created between Thursday's low at 10,484 and the Wednesday into Thursday overnight low at 10,497. If you guys want an area between that, take a look at this right here. You can see that we had a lot of volume done in the overnight session at 10,550, and this was, of course, that massive overnight session or that massive pre-market move to the downside that we got, and then we basically faded it in that following or the subsequent regular trading hour session on Thursday. So that's going to be very likely an area of interest if we do break 10,694 and see some downside pressure. You can also see that we have single prints on the downside. Of course, we have single prints in the overnight here. We have single prints from Thursdays, actually above here, basically from Wednesday's point of control, 10,873, all the way down, very, very close to that 694 level. So we are kind of working on filling that area in. We started to do it on Friday, but look for some continuation of some price action in this area and wait for, I would say, either this zone to break to the downside or this zone to break to the upside. So I will kind of just show you what I'm looking at on the weekly profile. As you guys will probably notice, I have some less data loaded than usual, because it's pretty clear on a weekly profile, you know, where our major levels are. We have a huge, huge distance between the value area low from last week and the actual low from last week at 10,484. So we have, you know, 350-ish points, 320-ish points rather, from the low to the value area low. So we are going to be using these more granular levels and the session profiles, or I will be, to kind of guide me moving into the week. Now, with that said, I will just pop over to my main chart real quick so you guys can see what I was looking at last week. And again, we've got a ways to go, but we can never underestimate the power of NQ. We could certainly see evidence of that from last week's insane price action, both in that pre-market and then that subsequent session where it was 658 points. So you can see that right here, 658 point session that we had on Thursday. And even Friday's session, you know, 385 points. That is not small by any measure. So if we do break the lows from last week, which is 10,484, you can see that I have that marked off right here on the candlestick chart, then I will be looking likely for a move first and foremost to 10,050-ish, 377 EMA. Keep an eye on that. You know, once again, we got about 720 points to go before we get there, but that is going to be where I will be looking if we do see sellers step in. You can see that we can basically create a zone between this prior high. This is the pre-COVID high, if you will, in February of 2020. And that is creating a zone basically between, I'm using the top of the candle body, so basically between 9730-ish and about 10,050, right? So ways to go, but I want to point that out just so you guys can have an idea of where I'm looking as far as downside goes. Now, if we get back to the profile here, once again, I will show you, there's no reason for me to load any more data to the downside because I'd be loading 2 years of data on my weekly profile chart. So I want to focus on a couple things here as far as the volume composite goes. So you can see that we have a high volume node right there. You can see that we have a high volume node right there. One's at 650, one is at 528, and guess what? There is some pretty darn good confluence in that area. So you can see 528 right around this peak in the overnight volume profile from that large session, that pre-market session when the CPI print came out. And then right here, you can see that we have an area right around a high volume node from the regular trading hours session. And also we have some double prints in this area as well. So we could consider this a zone, basically between our initial balance high from Thursday and these lower levels that I was discussing just a moment ago. So that is essentially it on the weekly for NQ. And I'm probably going to keep this short and sweet because these levels are pretty similar, especially on the downside to what we were looking at last week. Now, looking at the session profile for ES, it's going to be a pretty similar situation here. We can draw a zone between Friday's low, 35.91, and Friday's value area low, 35.95 even. So I will be looking for, you guessed it, a break of this area with a target of, first and foremost, 35.87, then 35.62, and then very, very similar situation here. We really only have less than a 2-point zone between Thursday's low and the Wednesday into Thursday overnight low. So that is where I'll be looking, and you guys can keep an eye on these areas as well to the downside. So basically a break of 35.91 increases probability, of course, significantly for a test of 35.87, not too far away from those lows. And then we have a bigger jump down to this 35.62 area, which I will be looking at if we do get some downside pressure. On the upside, I will be looking at the point of control at 36.15, and you can see we have our current overnight high, 36.1650, so some good confluence there, at least as it sits in our current profile, but we got a lot of price action to go before tomorrow's open. So if we break above and hold, get acceptance above that 36.15 level, look for a move to 36.2750, and then with acceptance above that initial balance low at 27.50, it's going to increase probability significantly of getting a test. You can see that we have the value area, the volume POC right here at, what is this, 36.4375, and then we have the value area high at 36.45 even, so that's going to be an important zone to keep an eye on as well. And then, of course, just like NQ, we've got a lot of single prints. We've got this zone of single prints, and I'm sure you guys are noticing these patterns, right? We have, look, the single prints start right here, 36.57 even, and we have a little zone between where the single prints start and our overnight low at 36.60, and then we also have single prints here that go from 36.90 and a half to the high from Friday at 37 and a quarter. And that is 37.25, just to be precise there. So that is what I'll be looking at on the upside. Just to reiterate real quick, if we can move and hold above the POC, first and foremost, look for a move to 36.2750. Acceptance above that likely gets us a test of the value area high. And if we can move and hold above that, that's once again going to increase the probability significantly of us filling in these single prints. Got to get through this area first, 36.60 to basically 36.80. And then we have this zone. If you guys want to break it up like this, you can do it this way. Single print starting at 36.90 up to 37.04, which is the overnight high from Thursday into Friday. And then acceptance above 37.04 likely gets us a test of Friday's high at 37.25. So we will pop on over to the ES Weekly. Very, very similar situation. We are holding above this high volume node on the monthly volume composite. So look for this confluence between 36.08, 36.02. That is last week's point of control. If we can hold above that, again, that is going to increase the probability of us moving quite a bit further to the upside for a value area rotation on the weekly up to 36.72. And if I draw a line there and go back, you can see very, very similar situation. This is right near the volume value area high from Friday's regular trading hours session. So from a weekly perspective, if you guys are doing some longer term trades or you're just interested in some higher conviction areas, look for reaction at 35.82. That's the value area low. If we can remain above 36.02, again, we've got the prior week's low, 36.17. Move and hold above that. That's going to increase probability significantly of us moving to the value area high from last week, 36.72. And you can also keep an eye on these value area levels from prior weeks because they are pretty darn close as well. So 36.25, value area low from the weekly profile of September 26th, 36.65. We could even draw a zone between 36.60 and 65, which is the low from September 19th weekly profile and the POC from September 26th weekly profile. And then you can see that there's also some good confluence between last week's value area high and the value area low from the week of October 3rd. So we've got a lot of important zones here, and you can also see that we've got the monthly volume point of control right here at 36.3950, 36.40 if you want to call it that for rounding. And that is also going to be a very important area to keep an eye on. So that should give you guys some really good levels to look forward and have some conviction in these areas. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen at these areas until we wait and see, but it's important to at least have a plan in mind. And regardless of whether, these levels break to the downside, hold this support, and we get, some upside pressure from them, we're likely going to have high probability trade opportunity at these levels, whether it be weekly market profile levels or from a more granular session profile level. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. It's been a pretty long video comparatively. It's about 15 minutes. So I hope you guys take value from this. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. If you would like to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, please check out our website, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can get more information on one-on-one mentorship with me. You can purchase access to the Trading Network Proprietary Indicator Package. You can purchase access to the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course. And of course, you can purchase access to the private Discord, where you can watch myself and Alex, the Trading Network team, trade live every single day, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Again, it is a two-way live stream, so you guys can come in the Discord. You can turn your microphones on. We discuss trading psychology, live setups in real time, and it is a very, very valuable environment for a growing trader, a new trader, experienced trader. We have traders of all skill levels, and I will also say that 25% of our private community are already professionally funded traders with proprietary trading firms. So if that interests you, you guys know where to find us. Thank you guys, as always, for taking the time to watch this content, and I will see you in the next video.